Hey guys, there probably isn't much to this, but I thought maybe I'd just string these articles together. We'll see. Oil prices at 2-year low. You probably notice this here in the U.S., and this probably happens every fall, but why OPEC may change that. Of course, we know that's what OPEC is. It's a cartel that manipulates prices. Oil is kind of impervious to the supposed supply and demand that occurs in the markets. U.S. oil futures slip on supply and firmer dollar. Dollar traded nearly at a multi-year high on potential for interest rate increase. But when you move down here, it says oil is traded in dollars, so a stronger dollar makes oil more expensive to buyers using other currencies. The U.S. dollar is helping the crude market go down. So who knows what the real reason is for? Here comes cheaper oil. Why prices are set to fall? So everyone has their reasons. Lower oil and ethanol prices behind lower cost at the pump. Then here at Zero Hedge, lower oil prices. Is it good news or bad news? So is it good or bad? Well, I guess it's good if you're having to travel over 5 miles to work every day and back. And this is the trending commodity prices since January of 2011. The blue represents oil, this green food, and red coal. On a side note, I remember seeing an article or hearing a story yesterday on the radio that was talking about coal and how basically your utilities will probably be higher. They always go higher or whatever in the winter, but it has to do with the railroad. Basically, you don't have enough trains to supply these utility companies with coal. So that's their reason. But you try finding out what the actual price of unit is for energy for your utility company. Good luck with that. I tried contacting the little monopoly here in Indiana, and I couldn't get any answers what I'm actually paying per unit. I mean, some other companies do, but so this is what we're looking at, right? Since what was this basically the last year and a half, 2 years, right? So it's down, but it was down same time around this year. As I said, it could just be that. You go in the long term, looking at $1.43, it's still pretty damn high compared to that. That was in 2003, and that's what I'll be getting to here. Again, this is all stuff that you guys are kind of aware of, so nothing new here. But just to put it into context, because there's a lot of emotional reactions going on to the ISIS thing, and that's what I'm getting at. Is this about oil, right? I wonder if the Iraq war was really about oil. I was actually thinking about that. I was in the military, and I had 1 year left as we were invaded. I think it was about 6 months into the invasion of Iraq and overthrowing Saddam. But maybe it was something else, right? Who knows? Russia condemns U.S. airstrikes. So this is a recent article from the 23rd. Russia condemns U.S. airstrikes on ISIS and Al-Qaeda, but Assad approves. So that's kind of a weird, loaded headline. Assad approves. Actually, they don't approve airstrikes that aren't authorized by them. So, but there was something in this article I was trying to find. That's right here at the beginning. Sorry. It says here that we're learning that the operation, these American-led airstrikes, did not just focus on ISIS installations, i.e. their airfields. That's why Assad can't carry out airstrikes himself, because his airfields have been taken over. And it's oil trade, so that's the big thing, right? And it's oil trade. But also Al-Nusra Front as well. Oil installations in Syria have been hit by anti-ISIS coalition. So it's an anti-ISIS coalition. I I actually watched. I don't watch a lot of Obama videos. I try not to watch any of them at all. But this whole thing about him being the freaking Antichrist, and saying, I thought, and possibly this avatar technology being available now, probably has been. I kind of suspected it, but basically, where he comes out and he talks that it's not actually real. Someone pointed me to somebody who really focuses on that, and pretty interesting stuff, because I did suspect that, but I watched the video and it was the same old BS. In to sum it up, what he said was, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with a coalition of partners. So in other words, he's standing shoulder to shoulder with dictators in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia and in the Kingdom of Jordan, basically to take down this group ISIS that was funded by him, beginning with Libya and arming these factions to overthrow Gaddafi. Again, this is another video. This guy lays it all out. But basically, they were responsible for funding this al-Nusra Front, this Al-Qaeda, this ISIS. So now, Obama, ISIS must be destroyed. There will be no negotiations, right? And you see, but the U.S. does negotiate with dictators. We know that because they dealt with Assad. They've dealt with Assad. He wouldn't be there unless they allowed him to be there. They dealt with Bahrain, right? Kingdom of Bahrain, where I saw basically shooting at protesters, live rounds, shooting them up. Saudi Arabia, just all types of countries. That's this coalition. So there's really no mention of human rights when all the atrocities were occurring before, the beheadings and all the stuff that was taking place that we covered here at GGN over the last 3 years. It's only a human rights issue when it's a financial issue, which is oil. And I believe that that this ISIL, the Islamic State, is basically causing some kind of issue with finance and oil as far as the West goes, their Western financial system. So maybe they're flooding the market or just putting oil out there that's cheaper. I don't know. But we know that OPEC is a cartel that manipulates oil prices and thus your gas prices and your dollar, really. Should the U.S. and its allies bomb ISIL's oil installations? So they're going to ask a question that really doesn't matter because it's you're not going to actually have any kind of say. So again, this is what engineering consent is, because what? Oh, they already did it with your tax dollars, just like they funded terrorists. So ISIL holds 7 oil fields, large supplies of wheat in Iraq, also in Syria when people were starving and all kinds of, again, things were happening. No medical supplies. The U.S. stood idly by this, good moral protector where people were starving. But they will take refugees. They will take all those people and assimilate them into American culture, as they say. It's anything that drives down wages, right? Whether it's, kind of breaking up the natural order of things of the family and having women leave the home and work, although you may disagree with that for whatever it's worth. I think that was a step in kind of the wrong direction, but that drove down wages. You had men and women competing. You see them a lot of times competing in the family. Civil rights, right? Ooh, we're gonna allow anybody, whatever. They're all going to be free, all races and stuff. Civil rights doesn't really matter. That drove down wages. So again, it's good in a way, but it's also like it hurts. It hurts you. The Disabilities Act. Oh, in the 90s, let's let people of all disabilities not be discriminated against in work. Again, driving down wages. I'm kind of digressing here, but people who own companies who basically rent people out, i.e. employees. They like computing labor. It's why they like when, in these factories and stuff where people are fighting and bitching and it's a hostile environment. They like that because they're more productive. Office drama. Protect their oil with U.S. blood. Bomb ISIS oil fields. So he says it would be counterproductive to destroy the oil field infrastructure since repairs would be expensive. And legitimate governments, what are legitimate governments? Those are the ones that are authorized by the EU or the US, basically the NATO empire. Legitimate governments will need those oil revenues when they reestablish control. So basically they're saying that you need to go to those people who are buying it, right? Halt the purchases. Well, this is what happened in Libya, right? Just like in Iraq, the first thing that the U.S. did when they invaded was what? They secured the oil fields in Libya because they have to take them away from, quote, Al-Qaeda. This is their army that goes and overthrows governments, destabilizes the region, and in the promise of their jihad quest that they're going to have this Sharia law, this Islamic State. Well, these guys have actually achieved it, this ISIS group, and that's what maybe is getting a little out of control here, right? U.S. Navy SEALs take over a tanker seized by Libyan rebels. So they had to send the U.S. Navy SEALs to stop these rebels in Libya. Libya is definitely never going to be stable again, at least not for the foreseeable future. They were trying to send that or sell that to Korea, North Korea, that oil. So, and policy is usually dictated through economic sanctions or basically economic warfare. That's what they're doing to Russia right now. Basically to get them to comply with whatever it is that the globalists have planned or what they want. So that's what OPEC is. But Islamic jihadists take over second biggest city in Iraq. It says idiotic U.S. policy is making Al-Qaeda stronger than ever. Again, this is all obvious stuff to you. Senate easily approves Obama's plan to arm and train Syrian rebels and fight against Islamic State. This is from September 18th, 2014. So, CIA begins weapons delivery to Syrian rebels. Again, something I discussed recently with someone was the president, the executive branch, is the one that ultimately directs the CIA. He's basically saying how I think it was Noam Chomsky did all this research saying that basically the CIA isn't completely rogue, as like Alex Jones always says. They take orders from somebody. It's usually the executive branch. Okay, so they're definitely sending weapons. ISIS black market oil business could net up to $100 million a day. And we always think oil, right? The U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, but this individual, this is in March 2003, so not oil. He's proposing that it was because of currency, dollars versus euros. So there's many things driving this invasion to unseat Saddam Hussein, take over the country, but the biggest one is hidden, very simple. It's about the currency used to trade oil and consequently, who will dominate the world economically in the foreseeable future, the USA or the European Union. Iraq is a European Union beachhead in the confrontation. America has a monopoly on the oil trade, with the U.S. dollar being the fiat currency, but Iraq broke ranks in '99 and started to trade oil in euros and profited. If they invade and take over, it will hurl the EU and its euro back into the sea and make America's position as the dominant economic power in the world. I'm not sure if I believe all that nonsense, but the main thing is Iraq broke ranks. We know about the petrocurrency. In 71, 73, after we were taken off the gold standard, they needed something to restabilize the currency. It was oil, OPEC. Oil is exclusively quoted in U.S. dollars. What is OPEC? Well, it's an economic cartel. They collude, they actually say this, to manipulate world oil prices. And what? They are not subject to what? Competition. Who are these states? Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Libya. So that's what happens when you break ranks, right? Saddam turns his back on greenbacks in 2000, September 2011, Al-Qaeda and the Twin Towers, they blame it on Iraq. Then 2003, the invasion of Iraq. Is Al Qaeda breaking ranks?